Over the summer, there was a few situations over the summer, but one of the big incidents I think that both Bruce and I connected to was the shooting of Michael Brown Jr. in Ferguson, Missouri, and the ensuing protest, the ensuing rebellion and vocalization of anger, rage, frustration by citizens in Ferguson, Missouri, and if you were looking on social media all over the country and the world, right?
Absolutely.
And so I know coming into teaching introduction to sociology, it was very difficult not to have that be addressed. And it was difficult to just teach the first lesson and talk about why studying sociology, studying society is important when here I am in my skin and in my body experiencing these feelings and these emotions that are directly tied to the way neighborhoods are organized, the way race and people and institutions such as police and community all coexist. I think it's the dominating question that I get is, well, why are you angry? That doesn't happen to you. And folks do not understand just because of the class, how we've been able to go from a working class to an upper middle class, how we've been able to go from dropping out of college or community college and into PhD programs and receiving a PhD. It's difficult because we still understand, not just intellectually, but through our bodies, through our experience. So that's one of the issues that we have to really consider is how women of black and brown skin connect to these issues across space, seemingly across time.
Right.
I know we've each had issues where you would think in our bodies, in our class, in our careers, we wouldn't be threatened, we wouldn't feel the fear of death at the hands of police violence, but it happens all the time. I don't know if you want to speak on it.
At the college that I work at, I was one of the people that led the charge, if you would, against our police officers getting armed. For a long time, the police officers on campus were not armed, and during my second year of being at Maricosta, that they wanted to arm the police, and I couldn't say it the way that the hood me would have said it, like the Bruce that was 20 years old would have said it was way different than the way that the sociological Bruce says things. But what I wanted to say was, I don't want the police officers to be armed because I am scared for my life, that I'm going to be the one that they see in the dark parking lot or something like that, just going to my car, but they completely identify me visually as someone who doesn't belong, and so therefore I'm going to get accosted. And no matter what I do in that moment, when they walk up to me and say, "What are you doing here?" with their hand on their gun, like, there's nothing that I feel like I can do in that moment to actually save my life. And that is the real part of what I think of when I'm going through those spaces. And I get it. People are like, well, we're not supposed to experience, it's like I'm middle class. Yo, yeah, I am middle class. And and I know people on my campus specifically who have been accosted by the police, and they were in button-up shirts, and they were in their newer SUV, and all they were doing is just sitting there. And yet the police officers still took police action against them. And like I said, and there was no reason to do any of that, because there was what the public would say, there's no reason for it to happen, and yet it still happened. And so those kind of stories always pop up and whatnot. And so when people say that I'm not supposed to be upset, it's like, look, there's nothing about my class status that can hide my race status. Period. Point blank. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Look, I wear a hat like this when I teach on campus, and it wears cocked back to the side a little bit sometimes. I wear tennis shoes when I teach. Part of teaching and part of receiving a PhD was so that I could have the freedom to express myself in the way I want to dress. And I know I often get, well, you wouldn't do that if you kind of dress more professional, even though my tie game is 10 times better than 90% of the folks' tie games on our campus.
I would agree with that.
But
I would agree with that.
Nothing I do, whether I take off my hat or put on a pair of Stacey Adams, it still does not take away the threat that some people would see when they see me in my body and in my skin. In fact, I remember having a talk with the dean, not in trouble, but just to let her know why I wear the hat. It's because I want people to see the professor, that one wears a hat. So that if I'm on campus late at night, if I'm on campus for a student event, if I'm on campus on a weekend, they're already aware that there is somebody who dresses like this, that has a status in this campus, that belongs and is a member of this campus. So we do feel threatened.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It is a paranoia. And chalk it up to 300, 400 years of paranoia, right? So for those that want to argue that there's things that we should do about our own victimization, well, give us 400 years to do it.
Yeah.
Be patient.
No doubt.